welcome back to another episode of the Wayfare podcast. For this episode, we are talking about technology. And I'm looking forward to this particular episode just because tech's fun to talk about. My approach to tech is a little bit not as intense as some people like to communicate technology. I like to be a little bit more practical about it. But we'll get into that in a little bit. Before I jump into the information, though, I just want to send out a quick reminder that don't forget to share the show, share it with a friend, share it with a peer that you think would benefit from this, share it with your team if this is a bigger operation for you guys. Don't forget to rate and review the show. You can rate this on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. You can give it a thumbs up on YouTube. If you're on any of those platforms too, you can click the subscribe button, the follow button, any form of that stuff is going to be super helpful for the show for multiple reasons, but don't need to dwell on that too much. And if this is your first episode checking us out, thank you. Welcome. We are going over the strategy workbook that my team provides our clients through consultation. It's part of their bundle if they sign on to work with us. I also give it away to whomever is just interested, like, hey, do you have some kind of homework I can check out? It's free material, but I like to make sure I provide it so we can really think through, being very mindful about how we approach their podcast, just for multiple reasons. And I talk about that in another episode. So, feel free to check out those other episodes if you're interested. But yeah, so for this episode, we're talking about technology. And technology is an interesting topic because a lot of people have a lot of different opinions on a lot of different forms of tech that they think are important for them for whatever reason, because it's either the most expensive one, therefore it's the best one. It's the cheapest one, so don't get that because it's, if it's cheap, it's bad. And both of those things can be true. Like, they're priced very accordingly for whatever reason, whether it's for name brand, whether it's for the parts they use, whatever it may be. And my approach is that if you can get technology that can clearly record what you're doing, so for me, I'm using my iPhone. I'm looking right at my iPhone right now for my webcam. I'm using this Shure MV7 for my microphone. And both components can record clearly. I would say you can also use your webcam, your built-in webcam if you want. It may not be the most HD version of it, but your face is clearly discerned. The point is getting visibility of what your face is. And if all you have to use for your microphone is, there's a piece of tech out there called a Samson Q2U, and it doesn't look super flashy. It doesn't look like the Joe Rogan thing. It doesn't look like, this piece of tech. But it records clearly. And some people hear all that and respond like, oh, well, can I use my computer microphone? I would say, you could. Should you? I would say no, because it's not super intelligible. And some people are like, well, I have AirPods. Can I use those? These things I'm using for reference. And I would say, well, you could, but it's not clear. But the goal really is can you get what you need to use to get your podcast up and running? And that's really the big thing. If you're, again, a bigger operation and you have the budget for it, of course, definitely go for something that's, very high end and professional, because you're not just getting really good microphones because they're good and clear. You're also there's a psychology behind it too. It looks professional, it looks presentable. If you have guests coming into the studio, you're going to be wowed by it. There is a very big psychology component to it. But if you're on a budget and you have any form of budget, whether it's $100, whether it's $60, whether it's $150, Cool. Again, like the Samson Q2U that I mentioned earlier, and I'll try to remember to put in the description and show notes below this video. But the Samson Q2U, I think, is like, 60 to $80, depending on if it's on sale, or maybe it is like just straight out of the gate, like $60. I can't remember. But I mean, if it works and it records, great. Like, after that, just make sure you have a pretty decent monthly budget to use online recording tools, which I'll get into that in a minute. But like, that's why I've been doing this whole thing, using my iPhone as a camera, using my Shure MB7, that's a USB-C cabled microphone plugging into the computer. Like, the goal is to show that like you can get really good quality if you are mindful about your tech and you're mindful about your environment. That's another thing. If you've been watching this series and the video of it, you'll notice I've been in 2 different environments now. I've been in this room and then my actual formal recording studio. And the goal for that is just to prove, again, that if you're in a good environment and you have a decent setup, like, it's going to sound great. And that's, great. That's great. True though, like, it's money and gear is half of it. The other half is your environment. Are you in a good, clear environment? So again, going off of that cheap microphone. Sorry, I just moved the camera. But again, going off of the example, if you have, a computer web camera, the built-in camera, and you have a Samson Q2U, and you're still struggling with the audio quality, the question then is like, well, are you in a good environment? I like to share with clients that there are 2 types of environments. On an extreme scale, there is you could record in a garage. And I think I've said this in another episode too. I can't quite recall off the top of my head. You could record in a garage, or you could record in your closet. And one side of it is very echoey, a lot of reverb. It's the technical term for it. You hear a lot of echoes, you hear a lot of bouncing, you hear your voice bouncing all over the walls. And that is something that the microphone will pick up, more than likely. There are some microphones out there that have internal software components that can reduce that. This microphone in particular has that, and I don't think I have it on. I don't recall. That's been the big thing. I'm not recalling a lot right now. And the other angle of it is being in a closet. A lot of soft material, a lot of soft cloth, coats, sweaters, and a lot of those things absorb a lot of that reverb, a lot of that echo sound. And one room is correct and the other one is not in this example. And the room that's correct is the closet. Now, do you need to record in your closet? Again, I believe I said this in another episode. You could. I know some people who do that for sure, that is what they do. But you could be in a good room that's it does have harder floors. It does have a pretty exposed wall. The windows can be exposed, but observe your environment and, maybe put in a shag carpet. Shag carpeting is very good for sound absorption. Put on some throw pillows on a couch if there's a couch in there. And if not, your chair, if a chair is in there. Cover your exposed windows with, if you have to, a very thick blanket. And if not, or if you have the money for it, put a very thick curtain on it, and you can open and close it when you're about to hit record. I guess my point is there's a lot of options that you can do to, if you have a cheaper microphone, but you have a decent room, after that, it becomes more of a sound absorption room setup, and then a little bit of post-production. And I guess kind of with all that being said, we can go through your page 17. A lot of this, for me, I'm going to be able to check off everything because I'm using all this stuff, microphone and cable. Again, I got a microphone and cable. Sure. MB7 with a USB-C cable. Cool. Check. Microphone stand. Again, I got a microphone stand on here. Those are very helpful to hold your microphone up and propped up. Just keeps stability, keeps absorption from, using it, shock absorption. Headphones. I'm using headphones. You can use these as references depending on the software you use. It can recognize it. And if you don't have those, a cheap headphone setup, like some older Apple AirPods that are like wired, or if you actually have a set of headphones of any kind, great. Some microphones like this one, the Samson Q2U, I believe, has one, but there's a little headphone jack in the back of it. You can see right here if you're on the video platform watching this. And same thing goes for the Samson microphone. If not, you should be able to plug it right into your computer and it should be able to recognize it, again, depending on the software that you're using. Recording software and video streaming program. I'm using Riverside.fm. They're not sponsoring this yet. That'd be cool if they did, but they're not sponsoring it. That's what I use. That's what I recommend to clients who are doing over the air remote recording. I'm using it as my particular recording software. Again, I could use a hire in my studio in my office is well equipped to do that. I'm just trying to be practical to give you proof that you can do this too, is again, the whole reason why I'm doing it this way. And so that's kind of a just quick, do you have those things? Great. If you have any questions on does this work? Does that work? What do you recommend? I've been thinking about doing an affiliate, like a Amazon affiliate link. So you can kind of go quote unquote into my studio and find some stuff that matches your budget. I've been toying with it. If you see it in the description of the video or show notes, or if you see it in the description, show notes, whatever, that means I did it. And if you don't, then that means I did not. But if I did not, feel free to reach out and I'd be happy to point you in the right direction regardless. Let me think of what else. So yeah, that's the brief overview. The next two things and the last things on here are audio editor and recording location. So let's start with the recording location. Again, I kind of already briefly talked about this, but just pick a soft room, pick a room that has a lot of plush, cushiony things. The goal is to absorb the reverb. That's why when you look at stereotypical recording studios, like on Google Images, or you see podcast videos that they look like in a very nice isolated room, that is what they're doing. They're just using really high-end acoustic treatment to absorb all that reverb and noise because they want to minimize as much distractions as possible for the listener. Not a lot of people can afford that stuff. Not a lot of people can understand what that means. Not saying anyone's lacking in knowledge, but it's just a whole different world of information and it takes time to learn it. So what you can do until you get to a point where you can afford that or you're interested in pursuing that idea, just pick a soft room, pick a room with a lot of blankets, a lot of cool pillows, and it'll make your room even feel cozy too. That'll put you in a nice headspace for a calm recording experience. So that's my recommendation on that. And then the audio editor, part of this is going to be a plug and part of this is just going to be as a matter of fact. Some people out there offer services to do audio editing. My team, that is our 9-to-5. That is what we do to help out most podcasters out there. We do consulting and publication and show notes and social media clips and video editing and just the whole pre-production through post-production and production in between. That is what we do. So we do offer audio editing. And if you go with us or not, the thing to expect is knowing if you have the money to afford an audio editor, if you're kind of bootstrapping this on your own, if you're just some random person that's finding this and is kind of on a shoestring budget, which is totally A-okay, it makes sense. You can expect roughly, I give people kind of not a worst case scenario, but expect a higher cost, just so you're surprised if it doesn't take as long to work on, but about 2 hours of post-production work for every 30 minutes of raw recording that people can run into. That's if you are talking and working with someone who does an hourly rate. My team doesn't do hourly rates anymore, but we have flat rates just to account for everything and just to give people who are prospecting a peace of mind that is their budget per episode. But some people do hourly rates, and that's kind of their estimate. Some people do it quicker. Some people kind of like edit on the fly as they go through the episode. So they might take a little bit quicker over time. And some people take longer just because they're a little bit more particular in how they edit their podcast. And, every which way is great. But I feel like the average is about 30 minutes. 30 minutes of raw audio or raw video is about 2 hours of work. And that's just the average. Curious to see what other people say, but that's been my experience. And if you want to work with us, great, reach out. It's a shameless plug. But that's pretty much it. Again, feel free to reach out. I really want to emphasize that the barrier of entry for podcasters is usually just trying to get over the hurdle of, I want to do a podcast, but I have no idea where to start. That's the first barrier I usually run into, and that's why this workbook exists, and that's why this video exists, or show if you're listening to audio. And then the second one is the tech. Like, what tech do I need? What stuff do I need? I mean, at the end of the day, like, this page is going to tell you that, but don't feel pressured to buy like a hundreds of dollars microphone, and don't feel pressured to get like all the cables and the audio interface and the $300 or $400 web camera or the whole like light box system. Like, there are ways to like hack it to make it work for you. And once when you kind of get up and running, you kind of see like what you do actually need, or like, oh, I noticed like the video feed is like a little bit more blurry. What can I do to upgrade that? Cool. That's how you get the next coolest thing, piece by piece, one at a time. And that's why I'm doing this video this way, is because I just want to be like, hey, I got my phone. I'm utilizing the communication between my Mac and my phone to give me a web camera wirelessly. This is a wirelessly done feed. I'd like to put a little bit more money into a nicer microphone, so I'm getting a nicer one. But again, the setup for it is very streamlined. I don't want to do the whole like crazy video feed setup and plug it into this and feed it through that. It's like webcam, Riverside.fm, cable, microphone, and then reference. The headphone thing I didn't really touch on too much, but like really that's just mostly reference to make sure that what you're hearing is nice and clear, which means that is what the audience is going to hear. And I do run into some people being like, oh, there's like a lot of distortion on this. How do I fix that? It's like, did you use headphones to reference it? And I get a nope. And I'm like, you should do that before you hit record, just to be sure. And Riverside does have a, I'm not going to click the button because I might stop this feed, but it does have like a test recording feature on there just to make sure you can hear it. Like, you hit it, talk for a little bit, stop it, and it'll be like, does this sound good? Click play. Nope. Cool. I'll adjust some stuff before I actually do hit record. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it for this one. Technology is such a big conversation. So like, feel free to reach out and email me if you do have questions. If you are interested in any of recommendations, if you're interested in audio editing, if you're interested in just talking, feel free to reach out. And with that being said, feel free to make a comment in the YouTube comment section below. I really enjoy watching people creating discussions, creating, treat the YouTube comment section not as a comment, but as a Reddit feed, I guess. I don't know. That might not be as good. I don't know. Let's create conversations is my point. And like, subscribe, rate, share, all that fun stuff. Again, if you're checking this out for the first time and this actually sounds compelling to you and you want to download the PDF, there's a link in the description below, so you can just go right in and download it. I think that's it. Yeah, there should only be 2, 3 more videos after this one. I mean, you're going to see them all at once. That's how I'm going to be releasing this show, but I'm thinking about what I need to do still. But yeah, thanks again. Talk to you in the next episode, and bye.